Hello everyone, this is Vaibhav Dixit. I'm currently a software engineer at Julia Computing and AI, where I am involved in building modeling and simulation software for the pharmaceutical industry. Today I'm going to be talking about GlobalSensitivity.jl, a package in the SciML ecosystem for global sensitivity analysis. Global sensitivity analysis equips you to study the influence of input parameters on the output of a model. This might seem trivial for smaller models, but when you have multiple parameters and multiple output, without having a quantified measure of that influence, it can get quite complicated very soon to be able to judge which parameter affects which output. This influence can not just be because of individual parameters. It can also arise due to interaction between different parameters of your model. So global sensitivity analysis provides methods that can allow you to capture that influence. So now let's look at how you can use GlobalSensitivity.jl with an example. So for our example here, we use the Lotka-Volterra differential equation, which is used to model prey and predator population dynamics over time. The first dependent variable in this equation represents the prey population, and the second dependent variable represents the predator population. So we create an ordinary differential equation problem with the differential equations .jl interface over a time span of 0 to 10. To run global sensitivity analysis next, our output of interest is not the entire time series of the differential equation solution. Instead, we are interested in the mean of the prey population over time and the maximum of the predator population over time. So to write that, we create a Julia function f1, which takes the set of parameters that will be generated within the sensitivity analysis routine and recreates the ordinary differential equation problem with that set of parameters. And then we solve it over the time span and create an array with the mean of the prey population and the maximum of the predator population. And the next step then is to create the parameter ranges. So we define bounds for each of the parameters. Here I have set 1 to 5 for all 4 of the parameters in our model, but they can be different for each. In global sensitivity.jl, we basically provide just a single function called a GSA, which is the interface to all of the available global sensitivity analysis methods. This takes as a first argument any Julia function, and then the method that you want to use. And if that method needs the parameter ranges, then that's the next argument. So one thing I like to mention first of all is that you can use this GSA function with any Julia function, even though we are showing ordinary differential equation related problem here. But this doesn't really have to be related to it at all. It can be any Julia function. Now we'll actually run multiple global sensitivity analysis methods on our problem and analyze their results using some visualization. The first such method that we are going to cover is regression based global sensitivity analysis. For a more detailed explanation on these methods, you can check out our documentation. I'm not going to be able to cover that here because of the time constraint. What we are looking at here is the heat map of the partial correlation coefficients and the standard regression coefficient for our model. The order of parameters in this heat map is actually reversed. So this is the fourth parameter, this is the third parameter, this is the second parameter, and this is the first parameter. So for the first dependent variable, the prey population, we can see that the third and the fourth parameters show much higher magnitude, greater than 0.5, whereas for the predator population, the first two parameters seem to be much more dominant. And this is confirmed both by the partial correlation coefficients and the standard regression coefficient. We'll also be able to confirm this as we move forward with other methods. So the next method that we are going to look at is the Morris one at a time screening method. This is usually run as one of the first methods to just check the ranking of each of the parameters. So the values of the mu uh, and mu star that you get from Morris are not really that significant, but they are used for providing the ranking to the parameter. So we can confirm what we were seeing from the regression based sensitivity analysis here. The later two parameters seem to be dominating for the prey population, whereas the first two parameters influence the predator population. So the next method that we'll look at is the most popular global sensitivity analysis method out there. That's the Sobol analysis. We'll look at a comparison of Sobol and the extended fast method. So both of these will give us the first order sensitivity indices and the total order sensitivity indices. So just as a confirmation that the results from both these methods match, and to showcase how you can use multiple methods with just almost the same call signature and just switching out the name of the method. So you can see that what we were seeing till now with regression based and Morris methods is confirmed by Sobol and eFast as well. The later two parameters dominate for the in both the first order and the total order sensitivity indices for the prey population, whereas for the predator population we can see that it's the first two parameters that are much more dominant. So the first order basically captures the individual influence of parameters on the output, whereas the total order also takes into consideration the influence due to parameters interactions with other parameters. Right. So far we have been using the method based on passing in the parameter ranges, the bounds argument that we were using so far. But one another popular interface for global sensitivity analysis that you will find in packages in other languages as well is to be able to just pass in the design matrices. So we do support that in GlobalSensitivity.jl as well. For that, you can basically either create your own design matrices, or you can use the quasi Monte Carlo package that's also a part of the SciML ecosystem to generate these matrices based on the sampler you want to use. So here I'm using the Sobol sampling method and generate two design matrices A and B, and using that I just run the Sobol analysis. So instead of passing in the bounds as the third parameter, now we pass in the two design matrices. So this is specific to Sobol. You might just need to use a single design matrix or a multiple design matrix depending on the method. So we can just quickly compare the results that we get from the design matrix dispatch and the parameter bound dispatch. So internally, we are actually just creating this design matrices using the same exact procedure. So we expect the values to match exactly, and they do. In addition to the methods that we've discussed so far, we also recently have added some other global sensitivity analysis methods like the delta movement approach, the RVD fast GSA method, and a couple of others that you can look at in our documentation or the GitHub repo. One point that often comes up in discussions around global sensitivity analysis is the computational intensiveness of these methods. This is due to the repeated evaluation of the underlying function that is needed. To speed that up, you can utilize parallel processing, so that can either be multiple processing or multi-threading. In globalsensitivity.jl, you can leverage that with the batch interface. What that basically means is you have to now write the function such that it takes the entire matrix of parameter values, and each column represents one set of parameters, and you assume that all of them are evaluated at once. So I've rewritten the f1 function with the ensemble problem interface from differential equation.jl, but that since we are using an ODE problem, I could just use that. You can also see examples of how you can rewrite generic functions to utilize the back interface in our documentation. Okay, so we'll see if this indeed helps us. So now, since I have started my Julia session with 8 threads, we'll expect to see some speed up by utilizing multi-threading. So this is the serial F1 function that I have run first, and then so this takes around 5.59 seconds, and then this is the batch interface F batch, which takes around 0.97 seconds. So you can see clearly that we get around 5x speed up on the same problem using the same set of design matrices just by rewriting our function that is used to utilize multi-threading. That was it from my side for today. I'd be very happy to take questions if anyone has. Thank you.